Well, good afternoon. I'm Tom Wesley, and I am a resident of the 2nd Congressional District, and I have not yet made an announcement. I'm actually not a listening tour, right? That's worked for other candidates in the past, right? So I'm trying to establish some bona fides here in the area. I am a businessman, family man, a veteran. I'm a volunteer, church, community, schools. I guess I'm kind of a community organizer, I suppose, of sorts. That's work for other people in No, actually, today we're celebrating an anniversary. It's the 6-month anniversary of the Obama administration. I don't know if you thought about that. I don't suppose any of you have lit a candle today, at least not in celebration of the event. That means that 12.5% of the administration has passed, right? So we're down to 42 months to go before we get to make a big change in Washington. I think you've heard some speakers today who elucidated why. I don't think we got what we bargained for when Barack Obama became president. And we are now co-owners of General Motors, co-owners of the financial industry, co-owners of the health industry yet to come. I think our job is to take back government, take back control of our country, one seat at a time. So what does one seat mean, right? There's 435 seats in Congress. One seat is a quarter of 1%. Doesn't seem like much of an impact. Until you begin to take a look at our congressional delegation from New England, and it represents then about 5%. And if you look at Massachusetts, of the 10 seats there are, it represents 10%. And that to me is real clout. And so I'm prepared to go door to door, trench to trench, to win this seat in the 2nd Congressional District. I think that's what all of us need here is representation and choice in this election coming up. And you know, it's not just about choice. It's about a credible candidate. It's about a credible candidacy. It's about credible support from people like you. You're the people who care. This weather has been awful for all week, and I admire you for being here on a sunny Saturday afternoon, knowing that tomorrow is going to be rainy. It just shows the kind of commitment that you have. You're really the heart and soul of this party right now. So I'm prepared to make a fight, and I'm prepared to fight to win. And against Richard Neal, who has been unopposed 7 out of 11 elections. 7 out of 11 elections. And of course, 60% of our seats in 2008 were unopposed as well. So he's just another fat cat sitting at the trough, who, in my opinion, really has never worked a day in his life. He's always been part of the city council of Springfield, and since then, he's worked with been fed by the government trough. So for me, really, there are 3 issues that are of importance, I think, in this campaign. One is economic security. The second one is national security, defined as border security. The third one would be education. So when you think about economic security, we can't get prosperity out of expanding government. We've talked a little bit about this today. We can't create jobs by taxing employers to death. And certainly big business, but more importantly, small business. Whether they're increased income taxes or increased user fees or charges for one thing or another, it's struggling, it's smothering business, and they're struggling to survive, particularly in this economy. We need to lower corporate taxes to a point where it makes it easier to retain jobs in this country rather than to export them. And I don't want to compromise on the strength of the free market. The free market is what has made this country as strong as it is. Rich talked earlier about how other countries around the world, former communist regimes, are embracing capitalism. Why are we running in the opposite direction? It's not a formula for success. In the area of national security, I think we need to preserve the integrity of our borders. That's the place where it starts first. You need to control the people that come in this country, that remain in this country, and who are here illegally. You don't need to be an English major to know that the word illegal is against the law. We need to figure out how to keep people out of the country who don't want to be crossing the borders and be responsible for people who do. And I admire people like Sam here who have crossed the border legally with great intentions and have made a great success out of themselves, and a real tribute to immigration. You're my model, sir. Secondly, I want to take the fight to the enemy. I don't want to be making apologies for the fact that we're fighting in Afghanistan, we're fighting in Iraq. We're prepared to do what's necessary in Pakistan, and I hope we're prepared to do what's necessary in defense of our country in North Korea. As a veteran of the Navy, I've spent a lot of time off the shores of some hostile territories years ago, and I hate to think that we're going to abandon the position that we've taken that's taken so long to establish, that my service back during the Cold War years, and the service before then, the service of my uncles who died in World War II, would be forgotten simply because we're apologizing to the rest of the world. That's not my goal going forward. We need to prepare to fight and to fund and to fight the battles against our enemies for the future. That means we need to take a look at our defense budget. We need to look at the structure of our budget to be prepared to fight the next war, not the last war. And I would take my military service and my example from there and bring that to good use in Washington. From an educational point of view, I talk about educational security. I think, again, we talked about some of those pieces here today. We need to make our schools competitive. We need to fight on a worldwide basis. We need to, I say fight, we need to compete on a worldwide basis. I travel the world since 1975. It's what I do. I'm an international businessman from that perspective. And I see that science and math are woefully inadequate now in the United States, and that other countries, the countries that are accelerating past us now, have got tremendous amounts of engineering graduates in the science and engineering disciplines, math disciplines. They're the ones that are becoming innovative. It brings up the issue of immigration. Yes, we do need to bring more talented individuals across into this country, partially because we're not creating nearly enough of them ourselves here. So we need to work on that. We need to make schools more competitive. We need to make our teachers' unions subservient to us and not the other way around. And we need to reward excellence and restore local control. So for me, the issues are economy, national security, and education. I think we're in jeopardy now if we don't control our spending, because none of those things have become possible if we can't afford to invest in those areas, if all we're doing is paying off the national debt. You know, with the stimulus package of $787 billion that Holly had talked about earlier, about 3/4 of that is going into pay old debts to the Democratic Party, not to invest in roads and infrastructure the way it was sold to us during the last campaign cycle and earlier in January when President Obama first signed that bill. It's a misuse of your funds, misuse of the funds that our future generations really deserve to invest. So we need to regain control of our Congress if we're going to ever control our country again. So, you know, for the people that are in this room, I don't think I have to urge you to go out to vote, but you need to urge everybody you know to go out to vote the right way. I think we're really at an inflection point in this country. It's easier to be mediocre than it is to be superior. And our country is sliding, and I think the chief orchestrator of that is President Obama right now. It's more difficult to achieve superiority. So take a stand and be vocal and be innovative. You know, creativity in determining how we'll raise taxes is not a substitute for innovation. We need to be innovative in the way we go about electing our public officials right here in Massachusetts, here in New England, and in our country. And there's just one more statistic I'll give you, and it's 100%. That's the number of times that Representative Richard Neal, the 2nd District, has voted in alignment with Nancy Pelosi. I'd like to change that. So finally, I'd just like to say, vote Republican for a change. Thank you very much.
We're going to try to get back on the schedule, so we're going to hold questions for the candidates until all